This is going to be once again one of the most impactful calls, hands down. I'm throwing that out there, okay? Pay close attention, right? Take down some notes if you want. Obviously, this is being recorded, so go back and watch the replay. If you're watching this on YouTube, take down some notes, okay? I want to ask you guys a question to start off. Who here has ever struggled with stress? Show of hands. I see everybody's hands up. Perfect, okay? Who here has struggled with stress so much where maybe that caused them to either feel like they're in a funk, where maybe they don't want to work out, they don't want to exercise, or maybe it got them so stressed out where they feel like they're snacking and they're, dealing with some emotional eating now where it's like they're binge eating nonstop. Anybody? Everybody. Perfect. Okay. Me and Mike are going to go over, in my opinion, okay? We talk a lot about mindset here at Heartletics. This is by far one of the easiest exercises that you can do to immediately lower your stress. You're going to find out so much about today's topic, all about breath work from Mike, from myself, from ChatGPT. And the reason why I want you guys to pay close attention to this is because, once again, stress is the number one killer for guys out there trying to lose body fat. That's the reality, okay? Stress will make you feel in a funk. Stress will make you emotional eat. Stress will make you just mind wander, worry, doubt, anxiety, all that stuff. But if you can just focus and pay close attention to this small little practical exercise that we're going to go over here shortly, it will change your life hands down. And I promise you, you will see 10 times better results on your fat loss journey because you're finally going to have I like to say, a blueprint on knowing what to do when life throws you curveballs and how to keep your head in the game, right? Show of hands. How many times do you guys let your emotions or your feelings dictate you and your actions to where you're not doing the best things because now it's your emotions are all in a bunch, or all feelings are on a bunch, right? That happens to me a bunch of times, right? I'm Italian, I'm a hothead. So imagine me, right, driving and I get stuck in traffic or somebody cuts me off, right? Instantly I see red. That's how all Italians are on the road. We think we have the right of way. So this exercise is really going to help you out. Mike, let's first talk about breath work, okay? Mike, I want you to talk about how you first got introduced with breath work. You can talk about the martial arts, how you got to incorporate with that, and how that has helped you. Because actually, before we dive into that, Mike, I like to get some clarity too, right? For maybe you guys that's on here right now that doesn't know Mike's success, or somebody that's tuning in for YouTube or Spotify and listening in, and they don't know Mike's success. Okay, Mike, how much did you weigh when you first got started with Heartletics?
240.
Okay. Um, were you struggling with anything like any medications?
I was on high blood pressure medication, on high cholesterol medication, and kind of what broke the camel's back was my doctor telling me that I was at risk for type 2 diabetes.
Okay. And how much do you currently weigh right now?
I hover around 170.
Do you currently struggle with any of those health concerns?
I'm off all medications and have a clean bill of health.
Okay, perfect. Now let me ask you this. Was that hard from where you were to where you are today? Was that hard to do?
Was it hard? No. Did I have to work hard? Yes.
Okay. Yeah. In terms of like showing up, tracking your macros, doing your check-ins, the whole process.
Yep,
Exactly. Okay. Now, during that journey that got you here, okay, um, have you ever been dealing with any kind of stress?
absolutely.
Okay. Has breath work helped you during those times of stress that carried you forward to now where you are, clean bill of health?
I use it all the time.
Okay. How did you first learn about breath work? Let's go into that next.
So, first introduced to breath work by my doctor when I first was diagnosed with high blood pressure. He's like, when you're, high stress moment, do box breathing, get it under control. Um, but then that just kind of, as I started martial arts 10 years ago and, Taekwondo, and then you picked it up even more when I started doing Tai Chi.
Yeah. That's interesting about the doctor. I didn't know that about you. I thought you learned it from, Tai Chi. So the doctor actually told you to lower your blood pressure by just, hey, in those moments of being high stress, just to focus on the breath work.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you first, heard that from your doctor and tried it out for yourself, was it like, man, this is kind of weird? Like I'm sitting here closing my eyes and just like counting my breath. Was it like awkward at first?
Oh, definitely. It's definitely, one of those things you have to continually practice to get comfortable with. And then, make it just a reflex action in the moment. to do
Mhm.
it rather than have to think about doing it.
Yeah, yeah. And let's dive into that real quick because you said two good words, right? The first one was, did it become easier, right? To where in the beginning it was awkward, but now is it easier for you where it's not so awkward?
Yeah, it's a normal everyday thing for me nowadays.
And how did you gain that, right? You mentioned about like this reflex, right? I know often, right, especially with myself when I first started off with breath work, it was hard to remind myself to do it in the heat of the moment when your emotions, right, are taking over and all you see is red. How did you gain that where it's like, okay, hey, let's focus on the breath work now because we don't want things to elaborate, you know?
Yeah, for me, it was really, making a conscious effort to, be aware of my emotions. And when I started to feel stressed or agitated, it was like, okay, you got to breathe,
Mm, yeah,
and
yeah,
that's helped me get to a point of, you know, being able to step back and observe in those high stress moments rather than being reactive.
yeah, yeah. I love that. And guys, quick question, show of hands. Who here has ever heard of, actually, who here has never heard about breath work? This is like your first time ever hearing about it. Okay. So no hands went up. So you guys have all heard this before. My next question is, who here actually practices breath work? We got three people. Three people. Okay. So guys, everybody else that did not put your hand up, once again, pay close attention because the first question that I asked everybody was, who here deals with stress? Okay. Everybody's hands went up. But now we just heard from Mike about even his doctor saying that, hey, this one simple thing that you do can help lower your blood pressure, can help lower that stress. All right. I want to elaborate a little bit more and then we'll come back on here. We'll talk about everything more in detail. Okay. But I want to share with you guys because Mike talked about stress. And obviously, you guys know stress is the number one killer. But I want to make sure that you truly understand that. So, with that being said, let me open up ChatGPT. Can you guys see my screen okay? Thumbs up. Perfect. So I asked ChatGPT some simple prompts. And what was really cool about this one is that at the very end, when we actually get more into breath work, ChatGPT asked me, it was like, hey, do you want me to create a challenge, right, for your clients? I said, sure. And I actually love the challenge that it spit out. But before we get to that, once again, I want you guys to understand the importance, right? Um, Stress is the number one killer. That's probably the fourth time I said that today. But hear me out. You could be dialed into your workouts, dialed into your nutrition, dialed into your steps with the NEAT, dialed into the hydration, even dialed into the sleep. But if you're still underneath a lot of stress, you're hurting yourself. You're not going to progress. You're not going to see the results that you want. And guys, stress is not just, anxiety, worry, and oh man, I got bills to pay and toxic relationship that I'm in and my boss is down my throat and I hate my job. Yes, those are stressful things, but stress could also be an injury on your body. Stress could be lack of sleep. Stress could be if you're not eating enough, right? That's stressful on your body because you're not recovering enough. If you're not drinking enough water, that's stressful on your body. Stress could be a sickness. Stress could be also if, let's say, you're traveling and you're out of your routine because oftentimes we put ourselves in these bubbles, right? I like to say our own comfort zone where it's, hey, I got my mindset morning routine. I'm going to the gym at this time. Here's my work day. Have fun with my family afterwards. But hey, let's travel or let's do this. And you're off your routine. You're out of the sync, right? You're out of homeostasis and your mind kind of goes squirrely a little bit. Your mind kind of wanders a little bit and it can kind of irritate you a little bit. At least it does for me. And that could be stressful. So that's why, like, understanding what can help you out in the present moment, what can help you out instantly lower that stress and just get everything back to clarity can just help you 10 times more see better progression on your fat loss journey. So I asked ChatGPT, I said, how does stress affect our health? And you guys are going to know this. So I'll spitball this real quick, but physical effects of stress, increased blood pressure, which Mike talked about, gaining weight, a weakened immune system, digestive problems, poor sleep, risking of chronic diseases, but then also mentally and emotionally, how stress affects us. Anxiety, worry, doubt, fear, depression, brain fog, lower motivation. I don't know a lot of people that, you know, they're underneath a lot of stress and they're like, man, let's go, run today, or man, let's go, work out today. That's hard, right? That's where you need to develop discipline because motivation is just a feeling that's going to come and go. And oftentimes when we're dealing with a lot of stress, we lose that motivation. We don't feel inspired to take action. Emotional eating. This is huge because we're going to be diving into this one a little bit. So if you guys struggle with emotional eating, pay close attention to this exercise, okay? Struggles with your relationship. Maybe if you're under a lot of stress, maybe it's like you hold that all in and you don't want to talk about it to maybe your partner, and it's causing some tension because they don't know what you're going through and you're not opening up about it. Then it says here how to manage stress for better health. Exercise regularly, prioritize sleep, practice mindfulness, balance diet, stay hydrated, connect with others. This by far, guys, is the best thing that anybody can do. Hands down. Putting that, aside, like breath work is a single practice that you can do. A group practice is honestly just connecting with others. Whether that's here at Heartletics and making a post inside the community group, whether that's just messaging a friend or just talking to somebody. Like my pastor always says, a problem shared is a problem cut in half. And the best part about connecting with others and just getting that crap off your chest is you get to see things from a whole different perspective, right? We often think that our problems are like the biggest problems in the world. But I heard this quote one time that is, if we took our problems and we threw them in a big pile in front of us and everybody in the world did exactly the same, we would be the first person to take our problems right back out because we often realize here that people have it 10 times worse. But connecting with others can also see things from a different perspective of maybe like, oh, it's really not that bad. Or on the flip side, hey, here are some things that you can actually do to help you in whatever state of stress that you're in. So definitely make sure that, guys, if you are dealing with anything stressful, connect, right? So I asked ChatGPT, I said, can breath work be helpful to lower stress when you feel like your emotions are taking over and you're losing control? And it says here, yes, breath work is one of the most effective tools for lowering stress, especially right your emotions when you feel overwhelming, you're losing control. It talks here also about, your parasympathetic nervous system where, you go into that flight and fight response mode, how breath work can really help you out with that, okay? I know on one of the coaching calls, I talked about how you have that primal state and that powerful state. And when you're in that primal state, it's like all you see is red. You don't think clear. But when you're in that powerful state, it's like, hey, we gain our power back. We become the creators, right? We take action, okay? So breath work can just help get you into that state 10 times faster. So it says here, right? How breath work helps lower stress, slows down the heart rate, lowers cortisol levels, increases oxygen and blood flow. Yeah, increases oxygen flow to the brain. It shifts our focus away from our stressors. Oftentimes, guys, we put too much attention on the stress itself and not on what can we do to either overcome the stress or what can we do to just focus on what else that's out there. So once again, this whole simple practice of what you put your focus and your energy towards, right? That's where you're gaining more of. That's why gratitude is a great exercise because if you're somebody that struggles with a scarcity mindset, like lack thereof, like, oh, I don't have nothing, nothing's going my way. I bet you anything, if you take some time, write down the actual things that you have, right, that you should be grateful for, you're going to see there's a lot of abundance in your life. Like you're grateful for toilet paper, you're grateful for toothbrush, you're grateful for your clothes, food, right? You get to see all these things that you actually have. And that rewires and changes your mindset to becoming more abundant rather than scarce. So now, Mike, you mentioned about the box technique, right? That's how you first learned it.
Mhm.
ChatGPT gave us three different techniques. And guys, at the end of the day, there's not a right way to do this and a wrong way to do this. It's just what helps you the most. What do you feel is more comfortable for you to do? So the first one here is, the box breathing, the Navy SEAL technique. And this is what Mike kind of talked about, where, hey, you sit down, try to get nice and calm, close your eyes, and all you have to do is just inhale 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold that for 4 seconds. 1 to 3 minutes. Everybody has 1 to 3 minutes, guys. 1 to 3 minutes. There's so many times, at least I can say personally from my own life, where, I'll see this, it stresses me out. I'll see this, it stresses me out. This happens and it stresses me out. And this is all within just one day, 24 hours. Okay. Now, understanding, right, that technique of, hey, this does not require a lot of time. There's not a lot big commitment to it at all. It's just you got to remind yourself, okay, hey, this is 1, 2, 3 minutes I can dedicate just doing this exercise to just help me just get right back into a better state where I'm not dealing with all this stress in front of me. Not saying that it's going to make the issues go away. It won't, but it gives you clarity back onto a better perspective. Okay. The second breath work is this 4-7-8 method. And so this is where you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 7 seconds, and you exhale for 8 seconds. And you can do that for anywhere from 3 to 5 rounds, right? And this once again is very, very helpful. And then the last one, this is one that we pretty much do all the time, but I feel like we don't ever do this when we're actually underneath a state of stress. We do this more like when we got finished with something, like maybe a hard day at work, when you want to just sit down on the couch, or you accomplish a hard workout, right? Where you want to just relax a little bit. And this is where you just sigh, right? It's that instant release of stress. And this is where you just take a big inhale through your nose, right? And then that second one is just you're taking that short exhale, or that, excuse me, a second short inhale. There's actually a doctor out there, Andrew Humerin. He's a neurologist, I believe. And he actually talks about this a lot, where you breathe in and then hold it for a little bit and then take another second inhale before you actually release, and how that really just helps you, get into a nice, calm, relaxing state. So ChatGPT then goes off into how to do this daily, right? Morning reset, pre-workout focus, stressful moments, which is hence the topic of today's call, and then also before you go to bed. All right. I asked then ChatGPT, and this is where it gets really cool, is are there any more tips that you can provide on how breath work can help lower stress or even help someone who is trying to lose weight? Because that's why we're all here, guys, is lose body fat, put on more muscle, become the best versions of ourselves, right? It says here, absolutely. Breath work isn't just for stress relief. It can also be a powerful tool for weight loss, right? And it talks specifically about reducing cravings, emotional eating. So let's dive in. How breathwork lowers stress and supports fat loss. Lowers cortisol levels, obviously. Hey, if you're getting less stress off your plate, right, your hormones are getting back into where they need to be when it comes to losing body fat. The best way, guys, or easiest way to think about cortisol and how it affects your body is imagine like a big building and there's like hundreds, maybe thousands of employees inside that building, okay? And there's a fire that's going off inside that building. Well, everybody, right? The fire alarms are going off. Everybody leaves the building, okay? So the lights are still on, right? Wi-Fi is still going. The machines, if it's a machine shop, like they're still like doing their thing, even though there's a fire that's going on. But it's not being productive. It's not actually like it's doing the things necessary to make that business grow because there's no employees inside. There's a fire going on right now. And so that's how I want you guys to think about stress hormonally for us, is that we have these hormones to help us, right, with lipolysis, losing body fat. But if we're underneath a lot of stress, those hormones are trying to defeat the stress at hand and lower those cortisol levels, not help us, right, lose body fat. So just keep that in mind whenever you guys are thinking about that. Says here the second one is reduces emotional and stress eating. I'm just going to read this, okay? Many people overeat when they're stressed. So you guys all raise your hand in the very beginning about, feeling, too stressed out, diving into those cravings. It's the reality. Most people struggle with it, right? So it talks here about how, taking these big, deep breaths, right, creates a pause between the emotional trigger and the reaction. I told you guys on the one time where, Coach Jason and I were talking about emotional eating, where it's like, hey, have something that just redirects your focus, whether that is a sticky note on your fridge or the pantry or something like that, an affirmation that you can say, something just help you redirect. Same thing that I told Brian Malcolm on, the last call that we had, which is, having that video of your strong why. Because if everybody understood their strong why, and I mean that strong, deep rooted why do you want to be successful at reaching your goals? Once you capitalize that and filmed yourself recording that, I promise you anything. Okay. No matter how stressed are you with life, how stressed are you are with, the circumstances, the emotions, anything like that. If you watch that video, it's going to redirect your focus back on that why. It's going to redirect your focus also back on your goals, and it's going to help you, right, lower that, just the emotions, the feelings at hand, where you're not going to go grab all this food and, binge and pig out. So if you guys have not yet figured out your strong, deep rooted why, we're going to make sure to go over that in a future episode with all of us on this group call. That's going to be very, very impactful. the third way here, it improves oxygen flow for faster fat burning. Okay. This is actually something that I did not know, and I'm learning something here, and I think that's pretty cool, right? So it says here, fat metabolism requires oxygen to break down fat cells into energy, right? Shallow breathing limits oxygen intake. I never knew this, right? Slowing down metabolism and making fat loss harder. Proper breath work increases oxygen flow, helping the body burn fat more effectively, okay? So, and then number four was boost recovery, right? Lowers inflammation. Number five, enhances sleep quality, which is very important. All of this has to do, guys, with stress, right? And recovery and just helping you get right back into a state of losing more body fat. I want to get into this part though. ChatGPT asked me a question, which I thought was cool. Would you like me to create a breathwork challenge for your clients? I said, sure. Right. So this is a 7 day challenge. And I encourage you guys, right? Like, write this down and try it out for yourself. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain, right? Just by doing this challenge. Okay. So the goal here is to lower cortisol, reduce cravings, speed up fat loss, and improve recovery. Time needed, right? 3 to 5 minutes per session. Everybody has that, right? Half the time you guys are spending 20 minutes just taking a poop scrolling on Facebook, right? So it's like, wipe yourself, go back to doing some breath work, right? That's the reality. We all have this. So the guys out there that says they don't have time, they can't do this, it's false. It's just that it's not a priority to you, right? You need to shift your focus and make it a priority to you, right? I tell this to guys all the time when they apply for our coaching program. If they're like, oh man, like I want to be successful in reaching my goals, but I'm dealing with, a busy work schedule. I can't commit to this or whatever the case may be. Well, the reality is like, hey, if somebody kidnapped your kid and put a gun to their head, right, you would find a way to make it happen. Plain and simple. If somebody was going to tell me like, hey, Joe, you had to lose 3 pounds this week, and like, if you did, I'll give you a Snickers bar. Like, there's no incentive for me to lose the 3 pounds. But if somebody kidnapped my son, Oakley, and said, you need to lose 3 pounds this week, I'm going to lose 3 pounds in one day. That's how much of a priority it is to me to get my son back, right? We need to make sure that our healths are a priority to us. Because the reality is if we're not filling up our cup, we can't pour from an empty cup, right? We can't inspire others. We can't be the leaders. We can't be the role models for others unless we're first, right, prioritizing ourselves. Not selfish by any means, it's selfless. It's the same thing if let's just say, having a cell phone. This is a great tool, guys. Great tool. But at the end of the day, like if I was stuck on a desert island, right? And there was no juice, no charge in this phone, it's useless, right? I'll use it to like make a fire if I could, right? If I knew how to make a fire. But on the flip side, if this thing had some battery in it, because it took time to charge its batteries, and I was stuck on that desert island and then randomly had cell phone service, I'm calling to get my butt out of there. So once again, like you guys are these phones for your own families, your own coworkers, your own loved ones. You have to learn how to prioritize yourself and recharge your batteries. Okay. I digress. Let's get back into the challenge. Okay. Day number one, right? This is your belly breathing technique. Okay. So it says here the purpose is increases oxygen intake, lowers stress, improves fat loss metabolism. Okay. How to do it? Sit or lie down comfortably. Place one hand on your chest and on your belly, right? So just like this, guys. This ain't rocket science, okay? Number three, inhale deeply through your nose into your belly. Mike, remember that one time, when was that? Like 3 weeks ago? We talked a little bit about breath work and you asked, you said, hey, who here actually knows how to breathe? And are you breathing in your lungs or are you breathing in your chest? Or excuse me, in your belly? Do you want to talk about that real quick before we continue on? The importance of having these deep breaths and getting into your belly for the breathing?
Yeah, so belly breathing, we call it abdominal breathing in Tai Chi, but it helps build your lung function up, right? It lets you make sure that you're building your lungs up to function properly. Generally as a population, we shallow breathe.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. And actually, right, you mentioned about shallow breathing, and if you remember, if I scroll up, it talked about how, right, those light breaths, like that actually hurts us rather than helps us when it comes to losing body fat. Very interesting, guys, how this all connects. So, going back to this is once again a big inhale through your nose, right, into your belly. Okay, your chest should stay still, and then you want to hold for 2 to 3 seconds. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Repeat 3 to 5 minutes, okay? Not hard to do, doesn't take a long time. I encourage everybody to try it, okay? Day number two, box breathing. Okay. I'm a big fan of box breathing, honestly. Like this is how I like to get into a more meditated state. And it also helps me when I get more just clarity with visualization, just from calming my nerves from doing box breathing. And how to do it is once again, you breathe in through your nose, hold it for 4 seconds as you're breathing in, right? So breathe in 4 seconds, hold it 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and then hold it again for 4 seconds. You do that for 3 to 5 minutes. Day three, this is where you're going to do the 4-7-8 breathing technique. This is where you're going to inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, exhale for 8 seconds, and then you're going to repeat that for a total of 5 rounds. Day number four, okay? This is that sigh, right? Where it's just like, this is just relief, okay? This should be the easiest one for everybody to honestly do. Take a big deep inhale through your nose, right? At the top of the inhale, take a short inhale again, a second one, and then all you're going to do is just exhale through your mouth, okay? Through your mouth. You're going to repeat that anywhere from 1 to 3 times. And then we have here day five, pre-meal breathing for craving control. I have never heard of this before, so this is something that's going to be interesting when I try out this challenge. But it says here, before eating, pause and take 3 big deep breaths, okay, through your belly. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds. This helps reset hunger cues and reduces emotional eating. So we're going to see, right, on day number five when we all try that out, if that's accurate or not. Day number six, post-workout recovery breathing. I'm going to try this one out for sure. It says here, sit down right after your workout, inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale slowly for 6 to 8 seconds. Repeat 2 to 3 minutes. And then lastly, right, sleep optimization breathing. This is lie down in bed, inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale slowly for 8 seconds. Repeat that 5 times. So, bonus tips, do breath work before meals to prevent emotional eating. Use the sigh whenever you're underneath a lot of stress, right? And the cravings start to hit. It says here, pair breath work with hydration and movement like walking for better fat loss. I like that. It's a good tip. Track progress. Notice better sleep, lower cravings, improve energy. Okay. I want to know from you guys, right? Thoughts, feedback. Actually, Mike, I'm going to start with you before we go around. Um, was there anything from there from ChatGPT that maybe you didn't know, right? Maybe it was about stress, maybe it was about breath work, some of these different techniques. And then, like, are you going to try out some of these challenges?
Well, I'm gonna do the whole challenge, but I did not know about the food craving. That's news to me, so that was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was interesting to me. And I'm excited for the challenge. I gotta figure out how are we all gonna do this though. Maybe it's posting a video of us doing it inside the community group, right? Obviously for like the 3 rounds or 3 minutes, a little bit long to post a video for that. But I don't know, maybe we can make a fun little challenge out of it as all of us do this as a team. Who else, guys? Who else here has any feedback on today's lecture about breath work? Jeff G, you look like you're about to unmute yourself.
Yeah, so the second one, I think it was the 478, and it's interesting because I've seen a couple of different variations of it, and just some like, the sports, mental management books that I've been reading in relation to bowling. I think it was like 6-4-6. I've seen 6-2-4, but the key thing is taking that deep breath in enough to where you feel it in your lungs, hold it, and then let it go, and it reduces the heart rate. So I do that before every bowling shot I make, right? I take a deep breath out, right? Then in, hold it, and flush it. So it just brings it down. If I'm feeling anxious about a good night or a bad night, I'll do it a couple of times before I even step on the approach, just again to bring that heart rate down.
Yeah, I love that. And you said that's been super helpful with bowling, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And one that let it go meditation video that I watched, that's part you start with that, right?
Yeah.
The deep breath in, hold it, let it go, and you just feel that stress kind of leave your body.
Yeah. Every meditation, every single meditation,
Mhm.
guys, starts with breath work, right? It's just that sometimes like we have a hard time, I guess, concepting the fact that, hey, it's apples to apples. It's breath work, right? Plain and simple, and there's nothing woo-woo or crazy about it. This is literally just stuff to help us lower our cortisol levels and just get us right back into a mode where we're, fighting off some body fat. Arlen, unmute yourself, brother. You put in there a really good uh, uh, spot there into the chat that I just saw. So Arlen asked about, can you add a breathwork challenge as a habit for week number 1? Arlen, I'm going to ask this to you, and I want also to get everybody else's feedback on this one, because here's what I'm thinking. I really want us to do this as a team, this challenge, right? I think it'd be super beneficial. I can create on the app, right? So it would be just a full week, right? Challenge where it's like day number 1 breath work. And all I have to do is copy and paste that, and I can put it into the actual habit on the app. So that way it's going to say like day 1 challenge or day 1 breath work. And obviously on the app, guys, if you swipe over, you can see, right, the instructions on how to actually do that breath work. So in case you need a reminder, you don't need to come back here and watch the video. It's right there on the app for you. But then afterwards, what I would love for you guys to do is when you get done completing that, then go to the community group and make a takeaway post, right? Just a quick little video, no less than 60 seconds. Hey, I just did the first day of the breathwork challenge. That way we're holding each other accountable, right? Integrity purposes. But also we get to hear that feedback. For let's say the members that aren't on today's coaching call, they get to also hear about, man, I got to start doing some of this breath work. This has been super helpful, right? And I'm very curious, right, to know, I think about day 5 about reducing the cravings, how that's gonna, play effect. But Arlen, what do you think about that if I did it like that?
I think that'd be fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah? Show of hands, guys. Would anybody want to be interested in doing that challenge? Pretty much everybody on here. Cool. Cool. Solid.